Welcome to Ancient Wisdom for Modern Work. In the hustle of profit, product, and productivity, it's easy to neglect the how, our ethics, our conduct, and our internal state of being. But what if the secret to sustainable success wasn't found in the latest management trend, but in wisdom that's existed for thousands of years? The host of this podcast, Kimberly Killer, is here to explore the ancient concepts of yamas and niyamas as a powerful framework for modern leadership. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Hello, and welcome to Ancient Wisdom for Modern Work, a podcast designed to help you apply proven lessons from the yogi masters of yesteryear to the work we do today. I'm your host and guide, Kimberly Kaler, and it's my great pleasure to share my insight on how to meld mindfulness into our work world, however you define work, as a teacher, a corporate executive, or community volunteer. Today's topic is Ishvara Pranidhana, leadership through surrender. For many leaders, the word surrender sits very uncomfortably. It conjures up images of defeat, of giving up, of waving that white flag in the face of adversity. Our training, our instincts, and our culture all tell us to strive, to control, to command, and to impose our will upon the chaos of the market. We believe that the more we control, the more successful we will be. But what if the ultimate act of powerful leadership isn't to tighten our grip, but to gracefully let it go? That brings us to the final niyama, Ishvara Pranidhana. This profound concept is often translated as surrender to a higher power or devotion to the divine. In a secular business context, this doesn't require a specific religious belief. Instead, it invites us to surrender to something larger than our own egos, the mission of the organization, the collective wisdom of the team, the natural unfolding of a process, or simply the reality of a situation we cannot control. Ishvara Pranidhana is the culmination practice of all of the yamas and niyamas. It is the deep breath a leader takes after having done everything they can, after practicing nonviolence, truthfulness, discipline, and self-study. It is the recognition that ultimately, we are not the sole authors of our success. It is a shift from a white-knuckled grip on outcomes to an open-handed trust in the process. This is not weakness. It is the highest form of wisdom. The ego's last stand. The primary obstacle to practicing Ishvara Pranidhana is our ego. The ego is the part of us that needs to be right, to be in control, and to take all the credit. In leadership, the ego can be a powerful driver, but it also is a dangerous master. An ego-driven leader sees every challenge as a personal battle and every success as a personal victory. This attachment to being the hero is exhausting and isolating. It creates a leader who cannot delegate effectively because they don't trust anyone else to do it right. It fosters a culture where employees are afraid to take risks for fear of upstaging the boss. It leads to burnout as the leader tries to carry the weight of the entire organization on their shoulders. Ishvara Pranidhana asks us to surrender this ego. It is the humbling acknowledgement that we do not have all the answers. It is the practice of servant leadership, where the leader's primary role shifts from being served to serving others, serving the team, serving the clients and the customers, maybe your members, and serving the mission. When we surrender our personal need for glory, we create space for the collective genius of the team to emerge. Embracing uncertainty and trusting the process. Business is inherently uncertain. Market conditions shift, competitors innovate, and global events disrupt our most carefully laid out plans. A leader attached to certainty will constantly be in a state of anxiety, fighting against the natural flow of events. This will try to force reality to conform to their 5-year plan, often with disastrous results. A leader who is practicing letting go, however, develops a different relationship with uncertainty. They do the work. They create the strategy, build the team, and execute the plan with discipline. Remember tapas? But once they have done everything within their power, they surrender the outcome. They trust the process. This is not a passive resignation. It is an active and courageous form of trust. It's the trust that if they have hired the right people and built a healthy culture, the team will find a way to navigate unforeseen challenges. It's the trust that even a failed product launch will yield invaluable lessons that will pave the way for future success. This surrender allows the leader to remain calm and centered in the midst of chaos, providing a stable anchor for the entire organization. Adaptability, the fruit of surrender. When we are no longer rigidly attached to a single predetermined outcome, we become incredibly adaptable. A leader who has surrendered the need for their original plan to be right is free to see the situation as it truly is and pivot accordingly. Think of a river flowing to the sea. The river's mission is to reach the ocean, but it is not attached to a perfectly straight line. When it encounters a boulder, it does not waste its energy trying to smash through it. It gracefully flows around it. This is surrender in action. A leader who practices can hear bad news without being defensive. They can look at the data that contradicts their cherished beliefs and say, interesting, what is this telling us? They are more concerned with finding the right path forward than with defending the path they have been on. This adaptability is perhaps the single most important trait for navigating the complexities of the modern business world. So what are some actionable tips for leading with Ishvara Pranidhana or surrender in mind? Well, to begin, surrender is not a single act, but a continuous practice of letting go. It is a muscle that strengthens when used. Here are some ways to cultivate Ishvara Pranidhana in your leadership. Number one, define what you can and cannot control. Take a current challenge you are facing. Draw 2 columns on a piece of paper. In the first column, list every aspect of the situation you can directly control or influence. For example, your effort, your communication, your allocation of resources. In the second column, list everything you cannot control. For example, your competitors' actions, the economy, how a client will react. Do the work in the first column with all your energy and discipline. Then consciously and intentionally surrender the items in the second column. Verbally say to yourself, I release the need to control these items. Number 2, practice servant leadership. Shift your focus from how can my team serve me to how can I serve my team? Ask questions like, what do you need for me to be successful? What obstacles can I remove for you? How can I better support your growth? This reorientation of purpose is a direct practice of surrendering the ego for the good of the whole. Number 3, normalize mental health and not knowing. A powerful act of surrender is to admit vulnerability. Leaders can foster a culture of trust by normalizing conversations around mental health and burnout, sharing your own struggles appropriately, or admitting, I don't have the answer right now, is an act of surrender. It shows your team it's okay to be human and that strength lies in honesty, not in a facade of infallibility. Number 4, celebrate the effort, not just the result. When a project concludes, dedicate as much time to celebrating the team's collaboration, resilience, and learning as you do the final metrics. This detaches the team's sense of value from purely external outcomes, many of which are outside their control. It reinforces the idea that if the process was executed with integrity and excellence, there is success to be found regardless of the result. Number 5, cultivate a letting go ritual. At the end of your workday, create a small ritual to signify your surrender of the day's events. It could be as simple as closing your laptop and taking 3 deep breaths, consciously releasing the worries and triumphs of the day. This act of closure allows you to be fully present in your personal life, trusting that you have done what you could and that the work will be there for you tomorrow. The unburdened leader. Leading with Ishvara Pranidhana is the path to becoming an unburdened leader. It is the freedom that comes from realizing you don't have to control everything. It is the relief of letting go of the immense pressure to be perfect and all-knowing. When a leader truly surrenders, not in defeat, but in trust, they become a conduit for something greater. They are more present, more compassionate, and more resilient. They create an organization that is not dependent on the heroic efforts of one person, but is empowered by the collective strengths of many. This final niyama is the ultimate act of faith in our teams, in our mission, and in ourselves. It is the understanding that after we have given our absolute best, our final and most powerful act is to let go and trust what unfolds.
Thank you so much for listening to Ancient Wisdom for Modern Work, a podcast designed to meld mindfulness into the work we do. We invite you to subscribe as well as visit wisdomfortheworkwedo.com for additional resources. Until next time, we invite you to consider how you can apply the wisdom yogi masters of yesteryear to the work we do today, with integrity, clarity, and compassion.